Well, you know, there's a lot of ways of taking down a tree. You can do conventional roping where you put the rope over a crotch and the guys on the ground hold onto the rope. You can hook up a Hobbs lowering device or one of the strap-on lowering devices that go on the base of the tree. You know, there's the Porter wrap, which is an excellent tool. And sometimes people will, you know, put a wrap around the trunk of a tree down. There's so many ways. You got speed lining. Well, my friend Jim McDermott, he's developed a device that he calls it the McDermott Ropebrake. And he graciously offered to do a job with us today. He said, I'm going to show you how this thing works. So this is a different technique, but so far I'm pretty impressed. So come on, meet Jim McDermott and let's go take a tree down. All right, let me explain this job a little bit here. This is a Black Acacia. It is as dead can be. All the branches are very brittle. We had sort of a delicate work area underneath the tree. You can see the bark is coming off there. There was a lot of plants, there was a fence. We had to be careful, so we decided to rope everything down. But because Jim said that he was going to show us how to use this thing, I said, you know what, Jim, let's pretend there's a glass greenhouse underneath this tree and bonsai plants underneath, and you can't drop anything. He says, okay, you're on. I know Jimmy likes a challenge here, but it was really a good lesson for us because he really wanted to explain to us how this rope break works. And the fact that the tree was so dead and it was so brittle, if he would have thrown branches down, they would have just exploded and we would have had such a cleanup. So I get it. I thought, you know, if we can rope everything down and get it out. You can see we've got a tagline here, and the tagline worked very, very well. It was able to pull everything out so nothing was hanging up there. There was, besides myself and Jim, there was 3 other guys, so we had a full complement of workers. And if you've got a big crew, you do it one way. If you've only got 2 guys or if you've only got 3 guys, you do it entirely different. Now, Jim is doing some rope handling all by himself. These are really light pieces, and the crew was able to get them down, but he wanted to get everything out of there quickly and efficiently so that things wouldn't tangle up. There's another thing I wanted to mention, that the only gin pole, the support that we had that was in the best possible position, wasn't that big. Now the device is made out of aluminum, so it's quite light, and Jim was able to take it up in the bucket. He had it inside the bucket at his feet, and the beauty of it is the tying into the tree does not take that long. It was just 20-30 seconds and he had it all ready to go. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the perspectives on this video. I think you're going to enjoy this because I brought 2 buckets out here, and my whole job for this was just to watch and do the video work. So I got up in another bucket and I've got these different perspectives. I found this quite fascinating because I never looked down on a bucket truck, and this was quite fun. But I also went to different locations on the job site and got out of the bucket and got from underneath, and I was using a steady cam on some of it, so you can see that this footage is real steady. And I also inserted some drone footage. I brought the drone out, so it's kind of at the end of the video, so if you want to see the drone stuff, you're going to have to watch this whole long video to get to the end, but I think it's worth it. Well, Jim's been working on this device for over 10 years, and I know that he has at least 10 prototypes before he got to this final one. And it's built well. It's built out of aluminum, 1/2-inch aluminum. There are no sharp edges anywhere that would damage your rope. The way it's constructed is amazing. They drilled all the way through the 1/2-inch aluminum and welded it on both sides. I know he had a real high-end machine shop do the work on it. And just the machining on it is exemplary. It doesn't look like you could break it if you tried. It's anodized, so it will wear for a long time. honestly, I don't know how you could wreck this thing unless, of course, you dropped it out of the sky. But it's a tool that's designed for hard work, and it's also designed for a long life. You know, tree men are kind of set in their ways. You learn something and that's what you stick with. And I'm the same way. I'm kind of hard-headed. So when my friend Jim came along and said, "I've got a better way," I said, "Yeah, right. Show me." Anyway, I really appreciated Jim coming in and showing me what he had to do here, what he wanted to do. And there I am up in the bucket, self-portrait. And I really did. I kept an open mind through this whole job. I thought, okay, I'm just going to watch and learn, learn how he likes to do things. Because one thing I've noticed is whenever I watch any other tree company, I realize that everybody does things differently. Everybody thinks differently. And you can do the exact same job a dozen different ways. As I said in the beginning of this video, we probably could have rigged the speed line and just been zipping stuff down over to the parking lot, and we probably would have got it done maybe just as fast. But all said and done, as I was watching him work, I realized that this tool is very, very efficient if everybody's on the same page and everybody realizes the thought process on how it works. As I said before, we had 3 guys on the ground, and Jim was the 4th guy. I was just the useless observer up in the other bucket truck. But it was fun. It was really fun, and he got it done fast. This whole tree, all the way down to about a 15-foot stump, took just a little bit over 2 hours to do. And I think if we were rigging it conventionally, it probably would have taken us half a day or more. So I got to say, it did go faster. Of course, manpower does speed things up to a point, but the efficiency of getting the tree on the ground is really what's critical. That. And also, I wanted to talk about the way that we're doing it so that it doesn't bog down the ground crew. So often I get into a job and there's a climber up there that he feels macho and he starts just wailing on the tree and knocking stuff on the ground, and the grounds people are just standing there waiting, and the climber just dumps and dumps and dumps. I had a climber one time that thought he was so cool. He was so fast. He got up in a tree and he just made this enormous mess, got on the ground, went over, sat down and smoked a cigarette and said, "Okay, clean it up." And it was like, you dick. And, it's the word team really is important. Everybody's got a position, everybody's got a role. And if you work methodically and efficiently, the job will go really smooth. And in this case, because we're roping everything down and everything is being pulled over with the tag line, we're not getting lots of broken bits on the ground. It's not creating messes everywhere. This is kind of interesting. Jim realized that he didn't want to be close to this one, so he told the guys to just stop and hold it.
Get
These
out of the
cuts
way.
are in place.
Other way. Don't hit me, man.
All right.
Oh, this is such a weird perspective.
Much better, much safer. But if the guys weren't paying attention to the hand signals, that might not have been so much fun there. Very smooth. I like it. Well, this is actually video number 3 on this particular product. This will be the third time that I've showed it. And I guess I'm endorsing it. I don't really get into endorsing products on my channel, but Jim's a good friend of mine, and this is an unusual tool, and I'm not selling it, but if you do send me an email, I'll certainly put you in touch with Jim. So one of the things that I got lots of comments on, especially from long-term climbers that use other lowering devices like the Porter Wrap and the Hobbs device, is the benefits of some of the other devices is you can wrap the rope around the device, then unwrap it and keep working. And a lot of people don't like the idea that you have to thread it through this device and set up the number of wraps. And when you want to increase the wraps, you have to re-thread it. Well, that is exactly the point of the product is that it will not come undone. Once you set it, those number of wraps are what you're working with. And because the device is up in the tree, you want it to work efficiently. You don't want it to come undone. And just as important, equally important, is you want that to run so smooth that even with a couple, 2, even 3 wraps, you can pull that rope and it'll go over so that you can tie it onto the branch. It's a smooth running tool, and once you get it set, the number of wraps is kind of the way you work. If you know you're going to get into bigger wood, then you have to stop and think about it and say, okay, I need to go with more wraps. And I wanted to also talk about the way that you can wrap it. It can do a half wrap, a full wrap, a second wrap, or a third wrap. And with 3 wraps, you can do some pretty heavy stuff, so you better be damn sure that you've got it tied to something really solid. This tree, we didn't have a real solid point, and at one point in here, Jim actually was taking something heavier than he thought he could, so he backed the tie-in point, the gin pole, to another pole with a second rope, which I thought was really smart. But you always have to think. You always have to pay attention. You have to look at every single movement that you're making, and a real key word is you have to anticipate what's going to happen. Done very efficiently. That tagline helped out an awful lot. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about positioning yourself when you're doing some roping. Kyle kind of got himself in a little bit of a tight spot. The fence was in the way. Had he gone off to the left there, he would have been interfering with the bucket, and it's probably not the best place to be roping from. But we didn't have a neighbor that was very accommodating on the other side of the fence. Otherwise, we might have gone, taken the rope over just even 10 feet further back, and he wouldn't have had the sawdust coming down on his head, and he wouldn't have been looking straight up. But every job has its own difficulties, and this one wasn't too bad. It really was a very efficient, straight running job. I do enjoy watching other people work. It's interesting to watch from the comfort of your chair and say, I would have done it this way, I would have done it that way. But I do pay attention to every little movement that another climber does and why they do it. Jim's been doing this a long time. He's not quite as old as I am. He's 59, and I think he started a little bit after me, but I think he's got about close to 40 years experience.
We set this up so we could lower it from one lowering point only because it was the best spot in the tree.
Well, I think I've spoken enough. I'm going to just let you guys sit back and enjoy the last bits of the video. There's some pretty cool drone stuff in here. As I said, I got a lot of toys out on this job and got a lot of different perspectives. You'll see it from different vantage points. So yeah, pay attention to the way Jim's doing the work, and please leave some comments. Tell me what you think about the whole thing. And we're open to criticism about the tool too. Go ahead and tell us how much you think it's worth or think it's not worth. It's up to you to tell us what you think about it, but be honest. Tell me what you think. I appreciate it.